The following is a tape-recorded interview with Mrs. Sarah Van Hackford, made at Lapoint, Utah, on January 31st, 1968. Mrs. Hackford, it is my understanding that you are, at least in part, Indian.
Yes, I'm a quarter Indian.
One-fourth.
One-fourth.
And to which, it is Ute, I take it? Ute?
Ute, yes.
And which band of Ute?
The Uinta band of Utes.
I see. Then your people came originally from the Utah Valley.
My mother and her folks came from Indianola, Thistle Valley.
Oh, I see.
That was where they was having that conflict at that time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they came here with the order, I guess was Brigham Young, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And they came here to... My mother's mother was a full-blooded Indian, see.
Mm-hmm.
And being an Indian that way, they got them to come here with the Indians that left there and came here in order to have peace with them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how to treat people and to be...
Do you remember that grandmother who was a full Indian?
I was 2 years old when my grandmother died.
I see.
She was an Indian woman.
What was her name?
Her name was Rachel. Rachel Murray. Rachel Wanzett Murray.
Rachel Wanzett Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And we find later in years that she had a brother who used to come here and visit us. And his name was Jimmy Pant. I don't doubt but what a lot of the people in White Rocks will remember him, but he's passed on too now. Mm-hmm. And he used to tell us all of these things that happened in Thistle Valley. He was an old fellow then, mm-hmm. and he'd come down and visit us every summer up mm-hmm. until he passed away. He'd come to Mother's place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he claimed that he was my grandmother's brother.
I see.
Her name was Wanzett and his name was Pant. But, you know, Indians carried the mother's name a lot of times, and mostly all do, even to yet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about the traditions of your family? I suppose from the history that they were forced to come here during the Black Hawk War.
Well,
1860s?
Yeah, I don't know for sure if they were forced to, but they were asked to come. I definitely remember my mother saying that they was asked to come here with the Indians, and when they came, they moved here with the Indians. There was 3 families
mm-hmm.
of mixed blood people that came.
Yes. Uh-huh.
They were the Murrays and the Taylors. And there was an old fellow by the name of Neef Burson, but he left here and went to school in East, and he never did come back here to live, but his family is all here now.
I see.
His grandchildren.
And they were Uinta who were also married, intermarried with the whites.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Were your ancestors on the white side of the family, were they Mormon?
Well, I'm not too sure if they were or if they weren't. You see, those early days we didn't hear too much about the religion of people,
mm-hmm.
what people were. I know after we got here and we went to White Rocks to the Indian school, we were all Presbyterians, see. That is, that was the church, that was the father that came up there
mm-hmm.
in them early days, Mr. Hersey, to have a church there for the children that goes to school up there.
Mm-hmm. You say this was Episcopalian?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, you know, there's branches of that. There's Episcopal and there's Episcopalian, and then there's well, they're just like the others, you know, they got so many names, so I don't know, but we're called Presbyterian. I guess I said, got my tongue twisted. Well, anyhow, that's all we knew about it because we went to school. But I don't know for sure whether my people were anything up until latter years.
I see. Probably maintained the Indian religion pretty strong.
More so. More
Yes.
than that, yeah. Yes.
What
they
was
were.
your mother's name?
My mother's name was Margaret Murray Van. Maggie, they all.
I
She
see.
was known as Maggie Murray.
How long has she been dead?
She died in 54.
I see. She was pretty old, wasn't she?
74.
I see. And when were you born?
I was born in 1896. That's the only record we have, is the record we have to follow up on down here at Fort Duchesne at that time. That's
Yes.
what my record was.
You have been married once. You married once.
Yes.
I see. And you have how many children?
I have 12 living children. I had a boy before I married this man that I married with my 11 children. And he always went by the name of Van. In early days, here on this reservation, they called it, well, up until 24, girls could be taken or girls could be married without a county courthouse marriage, see. They could go. But things like that happened all the time. Then this one guy, he just took off, and I went back to my mother and father, and that was it. I had the boy, this Alfonso Van. He's a wonderful boy. He's the oldest one.
I see.
Then my next child was, I'd married George Hackford in 1915. Then I had Selma, that's my oldest daughter, from him. And then I just had them constantly, That's it.
Very large family, isn't it?
Yes, it's
How many grandchildren do you have?
Oh my goodness, I wouldn't even dare to give the number. I had just had a grandson born here just about 2 weeks ago.
Is that right? So it's a very large number, huh?
Oh yes, man. Hardly. The only one boy that I have that's got one child, and that's Elmer. He's only got the one child. And the rest of them have large families.
All of the other 11 have large families. My goodness.
Yes, my sister, or my daughter that's up in Farm Creek, Mrs. Hooks knows her real well, Selma Christensen. She's got 11.
Good heavens. Yes, you do have a large family.
Yes, I say. Grandchildren, I have almost as many grandchildren as great-grandchildren as I have grandchildren.
Well.
There's a lot of them married still got grandchildren, or got children.
When you were born here on the reservation then?
Yes, right here on the Uinta River.
I see.
What we called the Uinta River at that time.
Yes.
It's changed so much from now.
Yes, it looks different, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. I've lived to see a good many changes.
But you have. Can you remember when the reservation was opened?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And the allotments were given?
The allotments were given to the people of, unbeknownst to the Indians.
In other words, you didn't get to choose where your allotment was?
No. The only way you choose, if you was squatted on a piece of land like we were along this river, automatically they just allotted that. Now I got the old home down on the river here where I was born, but my son's got it now. It was Maria, and I couldn't handle it after 11 years, so I let him have it. One of my sons got it. And that's the way that's one way they allotted it. As far as choosing, they just give them anywhere and any place that they see a place that they fit. But when you was squatted on a piece of land, well, that's where you would. That's where you was allotted.
So that's the way your family received the allotments here.
That's how my family received the allotments here.
You recall when the reservation was opened and the whites began to pour in?
Yes, my goodness, yes. That was the most unexpected thing among the Indians.
Or was it?
Oh yes. They, not that they, well, they had trouble in Spanish Fork, you know, or out in Indianola and down through there, and they were afraid that if the people were going to come in here like they do, you know, why they'd start a conflict of some kind here. But there was enough of them here that understood, and there was an agency here at that time, and I think Captain Hall was here at that time, but the agency was at White Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Right up in where the school is now, the agency was. Oh, that's a different looking place than it was then. That was the most beautiful place there is on this place in Utah, I think, right that school. And the agency. And then, I don't remember just what year it was that it was condemned, and I don't know why. After the regiment of soldiers left Fort Duchesne, then they moved to... See, they kept a regiment of soldiers in Fort Duchesne for a good many years during that time. Oh, that was after the Meeker massacre and all that.
Yes.
Yes.
When the reservation was opened, I have been told that some of the Indians became so angry that they left.
They did. I don't remember just what amount, but there was an awful lot of them left and went into North Dakota or South Dakota, and they stayed there and almost starved to death. A lot of them up there because they didn't have no provisions and things. So the government provided ways and provided food for them to go. And we had a man that worked for the Indian Agency at that time by the name of Henry Harris, and he was designated to take his chosen group and go bring them back. And they furnished them horses and wagons and all this and that. Well, they didn't want to come back, but they did, and they was promised, you know, how the government does. They promise you this and promise you that and all this and that. Well, they came back, but from then on, they haven't had too much, just a little people once in a while, you know. But they just didn't like the way the government did it. They figured that they should be consulted or somehow, you know, when things like that happened, why they thought that they should be in their native home this way, that they should be consulted or told about these things, not let it come out upon them all. Was it mainly Uinta people who went, or White Rivers, or Uncompahgre who went? I don't know. Don't think there's very many Uncompahgre. It was Uintas, and I don't think there's too many Uintas. I think there's mostly White Rivers. Who were the leaders then? I couldn't tell you just exactly who the leaders was at the time that they left here. I was too young to think about whether it was Chief. I know our chief here was Chief Tabby, but he didn't go. I don't know who the leader of that group that went. Do you remember Tabby? Yes, and he was an older fellow, you know. I remember Tabby. He was here. He was quite old. But I can't remember just exactly who the leader of the group was that took off and went, but our people, our people, the Uintas, always claimed that it was through the White Rivers that they had this idea of leaving, because they had done the job once and they didn't want to stay here and have to do it again, I guess. So they took off. You see any major differences between White River and Uinta people? Oh yeah. Yes, I see. Why? What is the difference? You live here among them. Now there's the three bands, you know, the Uncompahgres and the White Rivers, and I've worked with them all my life. That was I've been here, I've worked with them all the time. And I find out there's friends in all, but there's a lot of them that's not friends. But with the Uintas, we're just one of them, that's all. But with the White Rivers, we're not looked upon that way. We're looked upon as a white man. Was that right? More or less, as a white man. And then non-compadres, they just ignore us entirely, unless it's something that comes up that they have to participate in, then they consider it. But the Uintas are all, I can't say that, because the Uinta people are all really nice people, all college people. All part of our older people and all belonging, I sure miss them.
Is it true the Uintas intermarried with the whites more than the other two bands?
No, they intermarried the whites, but there's also in the White Rivers that they have married into the whites. We've got one Indian boy that married a white woman, and he's a full-blooded Indian boy, and he married, and they marry fine, and then there's, I don't know too much about the Uncompadres, we
don't see them as much up here, do you?
And but there are not a lot of Uintas that's married back into the tribe, you know, back in the Indians. I could pick them out if I had a pencil and paper, but I couldn't.
Yes, certainly.
Say right off.
What about the traditions of the Uinta people, the older people? What was their attitude toward the whites? Or did you hear it because you were part white?
As I said before, I think we were always considered just one of them.
I see.
And we never, I heard no complaint about our being white. That is, I went to school among them all my life, and I've lived here with them all my life, and of course they know I'm a mixed blood, and I'm classed as a mixed blood, you know, what that be it. But as far as being with my folks, I'm with Indian people more so.
Is that right?
Yes, I like my Indian people. I talk their language, you know, and that's one thing I guess that makes it a little more convenient for me, because I can talk with them and they glory that.
Yes, of course they do. And it's a fine thing to be able to do. Did you learn the language from your mother?
No, I learned my language from going to school, to Indian school. I was about 5 years old when I entered into that school. They entered them young, you know, there, because I don't know, it's so far away. See, we lived way down here, and the school was way up White House. Long ways at that time. Don't seem far now, but it was long ways. And they took the children there and just left them in a boarding school.
I see.
The girls took me and would protect me. I'll never forget, and they called me, in Indian, it's Whitehead, grandmother, because I had white hair. And I go by that name right now.
I see. How do you say that in you?
Kagu.
Kagu?
Kagu. They call me that. A lot of Indians still call me Kagu.
I see.
And they call me that, and because my hair was white, and it means grandmother, grandma, because your hair is white, you know. They wouldn't have to miss it for now. But there was 4 girls. There was Mamie Johnson, Molly Mart, Laura Appi, and Mamie Johnson, Molly Mart,
Laura Appa?
Laura Appa. Tama Appa is aunt, or is his father's sister.
Yes.
And Marie Doris.
I see.
They were wonderful girls. Marie just passed away just not too long ago. You know, and I just, those older people, when I see them have to go, it just breaks my heart, you know, to think about them having to go. Can't be with them no more.
Yes. When did you start at the school at White Rocks? In 1901?
Well, it was, I was about, I don't remember, Mother told us too, I'd be 6 in October, about the time we had to leave to go to ago, but the ordinary number of children that went there was entered at 5.
I see. And you went to the old school. Was that when they called it the Plaza School? The Plaza? Did you ever hear it called the Plaza School? It was just the Indian boarding school.
Indian boarding school. Indian boarding school is all I ever heard it called.
Who were the main teachers?
My goodness, we had so many teachers, and I wouldn't be able to know them all. I know that Mrs. Carter was our matron. Miss Carter was
Miss
our
Carter.
matron. Mm-hmm.
Now she
Miss
was
Murray,
the Episcopal missionary.
Yes, Miss Murray was assistant to her, and they were in the mission there too. You know,
Yes.
Right there in the old building where it still stands, and they took care of the girls. Then Mrs. Mudd was the laundryman. She worked in the laundry. See, the girls was detailed. Same as the boys, it was detailed. 1 week there'd be boys in the kitchen. 1 week there'd be girls in the kitchen. And 1 week there'd be boys and girls both in the kitchen. And they're detailed. Oh, that was fun, you know, to think how it was. And then our dining room was marvelous. You just wouldn't have no idea how they fed so many children, and how it was. They had about 12 tables along on that side, and about 12 tables along on this side, and then there was the post in there, you know, that held the centerpiece. Then there was a kitchen back here, and that building's all tore down now. And the school bell would, or the dinner bell would ring. We'd all get on the sidewalk and march for our dinner, and march out, march in. Just as orderly, you know, as they could be. That's one thing about an Indian school. They sure had discipline there. It was wonderful.
Who was the principal while you were there? Do you remember?
Well, there was Mr. Mr. Hersey was there an awful lot. He was the minister, and he helped us an awful lot in the school. I don't know whether then the first superintendent we had there was Captain Hall. Captain Hall, he
was also agent, wasn't
he? Yes, he was also the agent. But he took care of the school for a long time.
Captain Hall must have been a pretty important man.
He was. He was a wonderful person, Captain Hall was. He was well, I can remember, he was just a tall, slender, dark, handsome-looking man, you know, you never saw.
Did he bring his family with him here?
Yes, he only had one boy, and I forgot now what his name was. He had his wife, and this is one boy. Then there was Mr. and Mrs. Bowman. They worked in the school, and they had one boy. And Mr. Bowman was a Sioux Indian, you know.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman was. They were wonderful folks, too. They were beautiful people. Oh, there were so many of them that you just couldn't remember all of them that you had to. My goodness, it was just covered down with employees, you know. We'd have to sew, and we'd have to iron, and we'd have to do all these things, you know, that takes to make and cook, and we even had to get in there and wash dishes and cook, and I'll tell you, it was a wonderful place. It was pitiful when they tore it down.
Oh, was it? You think it was a good idea to put the Indian students in with the rest of the population, or not?
No, I never did. I was on the board at that time when the separation of this thing come about. It was when they was condemning the school up there, and I and Lawrence Sapphire was on the same board with them. We asked, and Harvey Natchez, he's still living, he's still here. we asked if they couldn't reserve one of those buildings large enough to hold the minor children. And keep, even if they had to be hauled home and back for lodging, but for the schooling, to bring them back to that. And they told us that it was too expensive, too much expense to it. So they tore the building down. Now they turned right around and done the very same thing that they was asked to do in that day too. They're segregated, you know, they're segregated in their schools here. I don't know whether you know it or not, but we know it when we're mixed with Indians. We know it's segregated. Just here in our PTA meeting, just here, Madonna went up the other night and she said that one woman got up and said the Indian children was holding their children back from school. In school. Principal got up and told her, he said, no, I don't look at it, I have to differ with you. He says, I don't think any child can hold another child back. If they've got the ability to learn, they're going to learn regardless of who they are or what color they are. Isn't that something, you know, when people get such ideas? Well, that's all that.
You think that the segregation is still effective here then?
Oh yes, yes, it's still effective.
Did you ever feel that you were being segregated or discriminated against because you were part Indian, Mrs. Hackford?
No, I've always been quite an active person. The Indians have always expected me to do the things for them that they would like to have done. And therefore, I always had to meet with the public as well as Indians, you know. And I worked on the business committee, you know, for 4 years at Fort Duchesne before we were terminated.
Yes.
And I got acquainted with a lot of people at that time. And then I worked after I got married and got to my family was growing up. I began associating a little more with the white people. Of course, my husband was white, you know. More or less, he was folks. You know, but my father was a white man, but he was an Indian.
I see.
In his ways, you know. He was a white man, but he was just like I am among the Indians. He was an Indian.
Where did he come from?
He come from Fairview.
I see. I see.
Sanford County.
And he married your mother in Indianola?
No, he never married mother until after they got here.
I see.
In here. He married mother and...
What brought him here? Did he come with the Indians, or did he come here to...
Well, I never did know exactly, but I have an idea that maybe he had his gal in mind, and when she left, why, he followed through, see.
I see. That seems likely. What about your grandfather, who was also a white man married to an Indian girl? Who was he?
He was John Murray. John Murray.
And where did he marry your grandmother? Was that also in San Pete?
Yes. No, he married... they were in Indianola. You know,
I see.
You know, Spanish Fork or Indianola, all down through there somewhere. No, they were married when they come here and had their children. They had the 4 children was all they had, and they had them. They lost one before they came here in Lucy.
Well, that's very interesting. What did they do at Indianola? Did they farm?
They had their little ranches along the river there, squatters' ranch. Well, just like Indians do, they like to move around, you know, and I have an idea they had a pretty nice little home in there because they always talked an awful lot about it. You know, like that. It's not a very big place, and it's not a very handsome place to my notion. I've been there several times, but it's just a place where they lived, and that's where they liked it.
Yes.
I think the Murrays were from Spring City, originally. But when they married down there, then my mother, when her father and mother got killed in the war, why a family by the name of Allreds took her and raised her.
I see.
Up until she was of age.
I see. You say her mother was killed in the war?
Her mother and father both were killed in the war.
The records do not say, Mrs. Hackford, that any Indian women were killed. What did the Indians say?
The Indians, she didn't have no mother, or they wouldn't have given her to a white person.
Yes.
And Uncle Reuben Allred always said that her mother was killed. Now that's the man that raised her. I had a tintype picture of him with his family, with this old Uncle Reuben Allred's family. We always call him Uncle Reuben Allred. And I let my nephew take it to enlarge it for me, and he's never returned it.
I see. Where does he live?
He lives in Salt Lake. I've got to write him and see about it, because I would lose that picture for nothing in the world.
I'm sure you shouldn't. It's an old tintype, you say?
An old tintype picture of Uncle Reuben Allred, his family. The girl, she's right there.
I see.
My mother's mother. Well, I don't know. You know, they didn't admit an awful lot of these things, but you read the Walker history, and you'll find out that there was women killed in there. I've read the whole thing, you know. Well, in fact, I got a daughter-in-law. She wouldn't accept the Indian as her relatives, one thing and another, and she got looking up the genealogy and one thing and another, and then she got down to where she found that old Walker was one of her relatives, and she just blowed up.
Is that right?
No, we didn't know too much about him, but we knew he was a mean man. Well, you guess he had to be. Do you know, have you thought of such a thing, or have you ever thought, now you take the people right today, you see it in other countries, but we don't have it here. But I'm just going to take our Indians out there for an illustration. They were parked along there, and they were happy people. They lived together, visited together, different tribes visited together, all, you know, like the Indians were. I know the Indian culture, so I know what they do, you know. In the summertime they visit, and in the wintertime they get someplace where they can find fuel and game, and that's where they stay in the wintertime. Well, and somebody come in and run you out, and wouldn't you fight? Wouldn't you try to hold your own? I wonder sometimes what we do here now, President. I wonder if we just walk out and leave it and say go goodbye, or what we would do.
No, we're pretty strenuous about our property, aren't we?
Well, I've often wondered now, because they expected an awful, now I might be being a little over line here, but I'm just telling you my thoughts.
What I want.
They expected an awful lot from the Indian people. First they took their land, their homestead rights, their land, they called it their homesteads in the beginning. They figured it was their land. Took a lot of them, took a lot of their land, and unbeknownst to them, and put it up for bid, you know, good numbers. And then my husband, that's how I'm sitting right here on a piece of his homestead. This is his homestead land, 160 acres. And I never did think of it until after I got older and could read and know what took place, you know. And when you're a kid and growing up, you never think of those things, you know. And a lot of things that I would have been very valuable to me if I would have had the knowledge or had thought enough about me to grasp these things in early days, you know, what's taken place or what did take place and all. But all I know is what I've heard and how it's come to us through my mother. And she used to tell us an awful lot about how it was. Of course, she was just a young girl when we left there.
Mrs. Hackford, you say you identify more with the Indian people than you do with the white. You are 3/4 white and 1/4 Indian. What is it that you find more appealing in the Indian culture than in the white?
I think it's because I was raised with them.
I see.
you wouldn't you would consider that anyhow. You'd be with them all your life, lived with them, growed up with them, been with them all my life. I wouldn't want nothing else.
Certainly, then, you are able to see the differences between the two cultures.
Oh, yes.
What is it in the Indian culture that you find so appealing?
For one thing is this. I've always said, now I'm not talking about the younger class of Indians. I'm talking about our older people. When you had a friend and he told you anything, that was what he did and that's what he meant. He didn't mean no today or tomorrow or yesterday or after that. He meant right when he said it was going to be. And the Indians are called dishonest people, but they were not dishonest people. The full-blooded Indians, the older culture, or the older people were wonderful people. And I found them to be that way through experience and know them well. I've dealt with the Indians all my life and done for them. But the younger class is a little different. From about 30, say 35, this way, they've got the worldly ways. They've lived they've lived long enough with the white people now, the grasping of years, which they've been forced to do on account of being in schools.
Surely. It's an interesting thing to notice that the older people all have a tremendous affection for each other.
That's right.
Is this affection that you speak about? Is it being carried on through?
Well, I wouldn't say that it is, because their children's children have grown up. And I talked to a girl here not long ago. She lost her Emma Sarich. I guess she probably White Rocks. I talked to her not too long ago, and I said, Emma, I says, do you know that times have sure changed since we were girls? Oh, she says, people ain't nothing like they used to be, are they? She says, you don't know who your friend is and who you ain't got no friend. Now, even her, she notices the difference, see? You can't tell your children to do nothing. You can't tell them to go, or they can't go. And she tells them the younger children going to school, and I guess she's having quite a problem with them. And you know, it's just not. It's just something that the Indians are not used to coping with.
I suppose. I notice in the older families, in the older culture, that the grandmothers used to do a lot of the raising of the children. Does this go on still?
Oh, I don't know so much about that. I know there is a lot of grandmothers that helps take care of the children, but as far as the daily care of them, I don't know. I think they're home, you know, probably all the time. Of course, they all like to go to their grandmas. You take these kids of mine, I'd have them here all the time if I was just so I could, you know, take care of them. But they go home at night, you know. They like to go to grandma. That's just the way of an Indian child. I've got two children that are almost just white, and they fall back to their Indian culture.
Is that right? Did any of your children marry Indians?
Yes, I've got two boys, but they're not of my tribe. They're of Sioux.
Oh, they're Sioux.
Richard, my son Richard died. She's the one that just had the baby. And then Clifton lost his wife. He had her sister, and she died some years ago.
Is Clifton your son?
Yes.
I was in school with him.
Were you?
Yes.
For heaven's sake.
It just occurs to me that I remember Clifton from high school at Altira.
Well, for heaven's sake.
Small world, isn't it?
My goodness, I'll say.
Well.
I see. Yes, Clifton's a wonderful guy.
Does he live here in Uinta?
Yes, he lives here. He's got a little... I'd take one of these babies to hospital the other day. She had dying pneumonia.
Oh, I'm
just
sorry to
come
hear
on through
that.
that quick, and they had to take her down. I hadn't heard today. I asked this Calvin if he heard, and he said he hadn't heard yet today.
Well,
Well, that's something to know.
Yes.
He sure remembered.
yes, so please remember me to him, would you?
Sure will.
When it came to the Indian farms, obviously you people were more successful than many of them in farming. What was it? What was the great problem that the Indian farms... Well, I understand from some of the older people that they were pretty good back in the 1920s. What happened?
I'll tell you what happened. You know this White Rocks bench up here, and on the entry in here where Hoopsters live, and on through there was one of the most beautiful and hay country and grain country, and then over here on the Indian bench is the same thing. There used to be one of the most beautiful countries in there, all Indian land. Well, I can tell you what happened. The Indian was on their own, and he would do what he wanted to, and he would raise what he wanted to, and he always raised his garden. Now, when they try to tell you that Indians, you lived here among them long enough, maybe probably you know that they're not what you call they're a shiftless people, but it's no wonder because they've been shifted around so much that they couldn't be no other way. But as far as the older Indian people, they had them homes. There was homes up through here, on Raheap place up here, and all down through this river down here on my place. That was one of the nicest places there ever was. Hay and grain and everything. But I'm going to tell you what happened. In the year of 1934, they enacted the Reorganization Act here on the reservation, the Willard and Howard Act. Mr. Wright was our superintendent at that time. And he was really opposed to it, but there was nothing we could do, I guess. They enacted it, and that was it. The Indians they all had nice little bunches of cows. That is, I'm not saying all of them, but the ones that had them had nice bunches of cows. Had them and grazed them wherever they wanted to out there, nothing to bother them. We had about 40 head up there ourselves. We know all about what took place. Well, the time of this Reorganization Act is when the business committee comes in down there. Then they had to reorganize this. First thing they did was get cattle associations. My boys all worked with cattle. Had their horses and their equipment and their everything. Well, what happened? They got them into a bunch, hired 2 men to take care of them. What were your boys' jobs? What was your boys going to do? What was our boys going to do? They did come down and help put up the hay and on the farms when they was up on the mountain. But what they going to do now? They got no cows to run. Cows up there under somebody else. That's the first thing that happened to us. Then the next thing that happened to us is our farms, the water got so high and the Indians had no money. When you get to paying $120 for a 40-acre land for water, you might think that's not right. You know it ain't right, but then you might think it's not so, but it is. Then, what do you think happened? I ain't going to pay that water. I've been used to going out here and using water in my own and watering my ground. I ain't doing raise nothing. Let them take it. I ain't got no money to pay my water. Go down there to get a loan, the Lord to shame to pay your water with. They pay your water with, and then when you get a payment, well, all your money goes back into your water payment. Now that just wasn't worked right at all. That wasn't. And that's what's the matter with the land. No hay. There's not half the hay that was raised here in the, well, I'll say even in the 30s.
Well, you think that the time of the decline of the farms was then during the 30s. Did the Great Depression and the price of things have anything to do with it too, Mrs. Hackford? Or
Well, I can't say that it did, because this had all happened, and see, the Allotment Act and all this had happened before then, and the Indians were getting pretty well discouraged by that time, see. They just didn't feel like they should be nothing only just bummers. And that's what they're called, and I guess that's what nature brought to them. They lay around, lounge around, what else is there to do? You can't get out on your farm and work. All got nice farms. And another thing happened that I know of. In the this is earlier in the, I guess this must have been along in the 20s when Mr. Neal was down here. He let all this land out for lease. Up through Altamont, up through Altona, and all through there, wherever there was Indian land, that was leased to the person for the fencing of it and clearing the trees off, and they run herds of cattle and sheep on there. Then they also give them a permit on the grazing for their north, for their lambing within this agreement. My husband worked for a man that had over 6,000 acres of ground leased. He cleaned it off, put it under cultivation. Now that was up here in Mount Emmons. And my husband worked for him for 5 years. And this was under the Neal administration. And that was well and good for him to do that, but the Indian never got a thing out of it.
Didn't even improve the land for the Indian. Huh?
Didn't even improve the land for the Indian, because after they improved it, why, they either sold it to the, I know Mr. Benjamin bought 3 or 4 different places up there in Mount Emmons. Of course, maybe these were dead Indian allotments, I don't know, I'm not going to say, but then they sold it to them anyhow. Well, the Indians have had, you might, when I hear somebody say, oh, the government helps the Indian, you know, it just makes my blood just boil. Because the government has helped the Indians to just go down step by step. They've got them right now where they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. I say that because I know it. Now, anyone can differ with me that wants to. They've got that right.
Well, certainly. No one's in a better position to know than you.
Well, that's just a part of the reservation that I never cared for, and I've fought against it, and I've fought against every bill that's been produced, that's been come to injure the Indian in any way. I fought against it, but so many people, and not very many people up here, when you come to a vote, those people down there outvote you, and then you're done. That's where we get hurt. That's where we get hurt. If only the Uintas, by rights, would have the right to vote, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have taken place. I know down to one of our meetings, when this termination bill came up, this Harvey Natchez got up and asked if they couldn't have a 10 days extension on this, and Wilkerson had a paper in his hand, and he held that letter out for that paper, and he says, well, listen, he says, you people are going to vote just for what's on this paper, and that's all. Well, that paper was termination for the mixed blood group. And do you know that there was the most scandal over that bill that you ever seen? I don't care. I would testify to this in court because I know that it's true. That bill never was put to the people like it should have been. Now, I hate to say this about people, but they were certainly misformed. It was sure I say it's the most radical thing that ever happened to the people. We should know business being terminated. there's people right in our bunch that's not as smart as some of our full-blooded Utes. Some of the mixed-blood people are not as educated as some of our full-blooded Indians.
Mm-hmm.
I always have said they ought to terminate the Indians and left us for help.
Were most of those who were terminated Uinta?
No, no.
Just all?
Just all of them.
All the bands?
Just wherever there was a mixed blood. And there's mixed bloods in practically all of them.
I see.
Well, there's not too many mixed bloods in the Uncompahgres. Just a lot of them.
Yes. You say you had a horse of your own?
Oh, yeah. We had horses. I've had some of the nicest teams when we run the farm here with without tractors and things. I had two of the nicest teams that there was on the reservation here on the farm.
I see.
And then some of the boys got the great idea that tractor would be the cheapest and do more work and quicker and all this and that, so we just got rid of our team. But I still kept my old riding horse.
I see. You kept the saddle horse.
Yes. He's still living. He's down here. He's about 25 years old.
How long has it been since you stopped riding?
Well, it's been 2 years since I've been on the horse.
Oh my goodness! You mean you rode the horse until you
yes,
were?
I used to ride my horse. I had him out here, and every time I'd want to go someplace, rather than to run and jump in the car, I'd go saddle up my horse and get on him and go. I used to just ride anywhere just to be riding.
Now let's see. That would have been the last time when you gave up riding the horse was when you were 70 then.
Well, I'm only 71 now.
You'll be 72 this year. So you were 69.
69. Yeah, I rode up on the mountain when I was 60 and 69. Or 60, long in the 60s, I was still up on the mountain.
What were you doing up there?
Just fooling around, just riding, just to be like boys take the horses up there in the fall to go hunt deer on. I'd get on and go take off, ride around. But I never last year because they didn't have a horse. I didn't take my own horse up there last year.
Were they afraid you'd hurt yourself?
I guess so, because Cliff said he's getting so he falls down quite a bit now, and he says if we kill a deer and I have to go get him, then they went and got him, but I didn't ride him because I knew they didn't want me to, and it would be useless for me to get on the horse and go, and if he did happen to fall, then I'd be, maybe hurt or something. So I just used what I called good judgment and stayed off him.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sure what I said to Helen one day, the woman that comes up there, I said, I wish they hadn't took both them horses. We'd have gone on and took a ride this afternoon. Oh, she said, we'll have to get Brent to bring us a horse. Those part of the speeches you probably have to scratch out when she takes it because a lot of it just won't do.
I think that a little bit of the squeaking in a place or two that we do have won't bother them that much. They put on earphones, and when the squeaking comes, you'll see them tear off the earphones and so on. But other than that, I think the recording is very good. I don't believe there's any problems with it. I was wondering. Oh, pardon me. Go ahead. I was going to ask you about the Indians and the law. Back to this problem again. Not from the standpoint of the federal government passing laws in an Indian administration, but what about the Indian people here and the local law enforcement people? Have you seen any problems between the two here?
Oh, yes, I have. You take the federal, they enforce an awful lot of their laws here on the Indian people. They've, especially in the courts, I mean for the police and all this and that, they pick up the Indians for doing this, pick up the Indians for doing that, maybe they're not really Oh, I don't say that a person shouldn't be picked up if they're drunk and causing disturbance, but I think if they was let alone, there'd be less trouble, you know, with women. We never used to have this trouble in early days, too much of it, you know.
Are they treated the same in the courts?
No, they have their Indian court down here that the Indians have to go by, you know. Indian has to judge and everything, and it's a little discrimination between them sometimes, you know. Of course, it's all with an Indian who you are, regardless of what the law is. You understand what I mean? If I like this fella, I'm not going to do nothing with him. If I don't like this fella, I'm going to give him that book. You know, they don't understand law enough to know. Yet they put them in there and expect those Indians to know all of these things, and which they do, take them out and give them a little training. But you know, it takes an awful lot of training for something like that, to learn how to do those things. And I've listened to so many of these here police performance on the air, you know, and I just thinking to myself, my goodness, if these people here on the reservation understood half of that, they wouldn't know what to do. No, they don't. They're not experienced enough for that.
I see. When it comes to the local courts, the courts in Roosevelt and Vernal, do you think that in the courts that are the courts of the state of Utah and the cities of the area, are the Indians treated the same as the whites in those courts?
Oh, I'll tell you the truth about it. I haven't been to one of their courts in the state or the city of Roosevelt or anywhere, but I have had a little experience with the city of Roosevelt. But I didn't go to court because I had no reason to go to court. They took a guy that was hunting my place, and he'd got off on the road, and he'd got over there, and he was drunk, but he was coming over to my place, and I lived in Roosevelt 10 years. And he was a nice guy. He was in the drinking, and he had a little trouble. Well, they took him and never gave him a chance to come over to me. They took him and put him in jail. The next morning, he says, I want to go down to Sarah's. I want to talk to Sarah a little while. I want to see. And you know, they took him out of there and brought him down there, and he came in, and he hadn't had his breakfast yet. And I said, Ned, have you had your breakfast? And he said, no, they didn't feed me this morning. So I fixed his breakfast. And he told me, he says, I said, what did they fine you? And he says, $40. And he says, do you know they took $40 away from me? He said, I had $80 when they took me. And he says, they got no money now. So I got in my car before, he was still eating. I got in my car and I went and found this guy. You know him, Carl Atkins. I was personally friendly. I know him ever since I was a kid. And I said, Carl, Ned tells me that he had $40. You charged him $40 for... Oh, yes, we charged him. I said, well, where? He said, they're the $40. Oh, he didn't have no $40, he said. I said, yes, he did. I said, Ned Redfoot never tells you anything but what he knows what he's talking about. And I could see by the looks of Marion, or, what you call him, Hackins, that he knew I knew what I was talking about. Well, he said, I'll go up to the Snake County building and see what took place here. Well, I said, you better be doing it, because I said, I've got an attorney. I said, I'll go get him. I said, I said, you just can't treat these Indians like that, Carl. Okay. Well, I think that his money back.
Well, they did.
Oh, yeah, they give his money.
They got you got his money back for him, huh?
Oh, yes.
Strange way to run a formal court, isn't it?
Well, it is. You see, that was outside of court. They'd taken his $40, but he took his $40 up there and paid it in there, all right, yes. But the $40 that somebody else got, why, he had to dig it out. see, that would be in the court. It's terrible. Well, not only that, but I've had so many things that has come to me just unexpected and that I've had to help with and do for, and I've never regretted a minute of it either, because I figure if I'm not, I should be valued to somebody, and if I can help somebody, that's all I want to do. But he was a wonderful. I worked with him on the mountain, herding cows, and he was a good guy, that kind of thing. I knew when he told me that he wasn't telling me no story.
What's the greatest problem facing Indian people today, Mrs. Hackford? Here, this reservation.
Well, I don't like to criticize our government, because you're not supposed to, you know.
Well, if they're wrong, we could criticize them in hopes of helping.
This one place, I do think they're wrong. Now, I don't know as I'd want to go into details, because I don't know the condition that it put the Indians in, but what I can't see through is this. They put all the Indians on welfare. Then the government gives their money to the welfare instead of to the Indian. And the Indians don't have no money. And who does get welfare, if they're able-bodied people, they have to work for it before they get it. Have to work for their own money.
For what is already theirs.
What is already there is theirs. The government matches, the Indian Department matches the money that the government has there for the welfare. Then, if I got a boy and a girl that needs to be on welfare, and this boy is able to, even if he ain't got no job, he wants to get welfare, why, he's got to work and pay back this welfare that they're getting. I can't see through that for the life of me. That's one thing that I don't think is really worked out, because there's so many of these Indians that doesn't need to be. That welfare just makes me sick all over to think about. Our people here on this reservation as well off as they could be and are, which they have been all their lives, would have to be put on welfare just because a few of them drank. That was what it was done for. Just because a few of them drank and carried on, wasted a little money, why, even if that was their own money, if they wanted to get drunk, I guess. But I don't approve of the drunkenness myself. But I still don't approve of the way they do it. So I went over to talk to the welfare myself, and I asked him what that was done for. Well, he says it's just to make them understand that they can't just get everything for nothing. I said, well, who's getting everything for nothing? Who is it that's giving everything for nothing? Answer me that question. I said, you're not giving them anything. I said, the government, they're paying for their own way here. I said, where are you giving them anything? But that's the way they say. We are giving them what they're entitled to. And they're giving them nothing because it's their own money, just anyhow. Of course, I don't disapprove of them taking some of them in there and making them work, because I think that work is the best thing that ever happened. But it's the way they're doing it. If they wanted to give them a job, why didn't they keep them off on welfare and give them a job?
Yeah.
Not give them that name welfare.
Yes.
You know, I have...
Are they pretty angry about it?
Oh, the Indians, yes, they was right on up in arms about it first, but they have to calm down just like they always do, you know. They have to go and get their commodities, and that satisfies them pretty well now. But first they didn't like it, because they don't have the money they used to have. And a lot of them did squander their money. I'm not saying that none of them